let's start off the second half of the show talking about Alcatrazz. Alcatrazz inked a new deal with Brave Words Records, which I think was a very good thing for them, and it goes without saying how high of an opinion I have on the group of people running Brave Words Records and having a record label being a part of Brave Words. And, of course, their new singer, Giles Lavery, works for the label, and they also have a great PR guy in Michael Brandvold as well. But nothing but great things to say about Brave Words Records. They just won their trademark dispute, I believe. I saw that in the news. I'm not really here to talk about that. At some point, maybe I'll have somebody on the band on the show to talk a bit more about that because I don't know the ins and outs of it. But I want to talk about the new single, Island in the Sun, which is a re-recorded version of that song, which originally appeared on the debut album. And the thing is, what's crazy is that you hear people, when I hear this track, you have a lot of these people that are saying, no Graham Bonnet, no Alcatrazz. And, stuff like that can kind of get a little irritating because, number one, Jimmy Waldo, who, by the way, had a great performance on the new A through Z album, he has carried this band on throughout the years. Graham has not been a part of this band, throughout quite a bit of his existence. But him and then even Gary Shea, these guys have carried this band on. And they're both founding members. They're still in the band. And when people say stuff like that without hearing any new music, it's just a very ignorant thing. People were saying that, for example, I talked about in the earlier part of this whole episode, how people were saying Norm Skinner could not replace Russ Anderson in Forbidden, or people saying that Travis Wills could not, fill Midnight's shoes in Crimson Glory. And people are saying this stuff before these guys have even performed. Or a record has even come out. Because the new Crimson Glory hasn't come out yet. I mean, there's one song out there, but the record hasn't come out. And both of those guys changed the opinions of a lot of the critics. Now, you have a lot of people that are going to be critical of Giles. They were critical of Doogie White. But personally, I had to go back and listen to the No Parole from Rock and Roll album because at the time when I first listened to it, it was many, many years ago. But as a refresher, I went and checked the album out again. And I'm going to be honest. I know, music is subjective. We have our opinions. I've really never been a big fan of Graham Bonnet's vocals. Again, I have all the respect in the world for how successful the guy has been and any success he has had in the music business. I thought he actually did a pretty good job on the Down to Earth album by Rainbow. But I've never really been a big fan of his vocals in general. And when I say this, I want you all to take that into account when I say this. Because obviously, the guy has a pretty big following, has a pretty solid following of people that love his vocals. I get it. This is a preference. But I'm going to be honest with you. I like the version Giles did on this song better than the original one. And I like a lot of, you see like videos of Doogie White singing some of these songs. I personally prefer his vocals over Graham Bonnet's on some of this old material. I just never really been a big fan of his voice. When I listened to the first Alcatrazz album, the music is great. And Graham's vocals aren't like bad to like where I would say, I can't listen to that record. But I just don't care for how he sounds on it. That's it. I like how he sounded on Down to Earth by Rainbow. But the Alcatrazz stuff, I never really thought he fit that great on. And that's just me. That's just my opinion. I mean, it's not terrible by any means. I just like Giles' voice better on this song. I would like Doogie White's voice better on this song. But I think the re-recorded version of this song is very, very good. It's very well done. Giles, his performance is pretty awesome. And I think he's a great fit for Alcatrazz. I really do. I really think that he is going to fit this band for a new studio album, and even some of the stuff you see of him singing live, like on YouTube or whatnot, anything that's out there, he sounds pretty incredible with them, considering he was kind of rushed in to fill in at the last minute. And, I got to be honest, I'm looking forward to new music by these guys. The other thing is, I really like, as a keyboard player, I think Jimmy Waldo's style is also incredible. I mentioned A through Z. I'm going to comment on that really quick. Mark Zonder had talked about, Jimmy Waldo being like an unsung hero of the album, but I really think his playing and his approach on that A through Z album was incredible. And it was one of the major differences as to why I like that album better than the first A through Z album. So I'm really excited for this new Alcatrazz album, because the reason being is that the band seems excited about it. The label is going to put a lot into it. They were going to really bust their ass to promote this. And it's just such a positive situation. The trademark dispute nonsense, I guess, is over now. It's everything positive is heading into this. And I'll be honest, I think Giles, who is a fan of their music, I think he just fits the song better. That's just me. But I am really looking forward to the next Alcatrazz album. And, the music, I went back to some of the past records they've done. They're a pretty good band. And, they're one of those bands that when I was younger, I heard them. I kind of wrote them off a little bit. And then, a few months ago, I decided to explore their back catalog again. And like many things out there, including the album I'm going to talk about next on this program, it's just one of those things where you get older and then you listen to something again. And you're like, man, I don't know why I didn't like this, but I like it now. So really looking forward to the next Alcatrazz. I think the new version of Island in the Sun, sung by Giles Lavery, I think that's an incredible version of the song. I like it better than the original. And I look forward to their next album, which will come out on Brave Words Records. Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching. And if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video. And if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.